All hits all the time.
We are family.
Xers are double-digit Ks.
We're busting ours to kick yours.
Fun to watch.
Minus 15.
Respect all, fear none.
Into the upper deck.
Intensity is not a curfew.
Oh, mercy.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
From inside the warehouse at Oriole Park at Camden Yards, it is the MASN All Access Podcast, brought to you by Marymount University. Visit MarymountSaints.com to learn more about our student athletes and programs today. Paul Mancano, Bobby Blanco, as always, a very sick man in Bobby Blanco.
Not very sick. I'm getting better. Got my tea with me. We got some good tea in the kitchen. This is really like some lemon ginger with a little bit of honey. Ooh,
That's
the
tea.
good stuff.
Isn't that what they say? Isn't that a kid's expression?
You keep saying that. I don't know.
I keep looking at Amy Jennings, who
says
is our
yes.
resident young person, as if we are not young.
Yeah.
That's the tea. Them's the teas.
Why is that a phrase?
Right?
Where does it come from?
I would guess that it is a Kermit the Frog, and he's like sipping the tea. I think that's where it comes from.
None of my business.
I just love that, by the way, systematically, I feel like over the past year, we've always seen SpongeBob memes. I feel like SpongeBob has come to dominate
Oh my
Twitter.
God, they're
just
everywhere.
absolutely dominate Twitter.
I'm a head out. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's literally everywhere. My friend
You can't go into a comment section.
My friend is only talking in those memes. He sends me 4 a day. And it's
Oh my
like,
gosh.
Hey Ian, you wanna talk about something else, bud? Can you use words? Use your own words.
Hey.
Yeah. They are hilarious though. It's tough not to get a laugh out of them.
When I remember years ago when the emojis first started taking over and people were like, oh my gosh, emojis are just going to ruin conversations. They're just going to take over. Instead, it's memes that are taking over conversations.
I like it. I could speak in memes, GIFs.
Hannah Broder already does one of our social
references
media
all
managers.
day.
Yeah.
I like referencing stuff.
I like referencing stuff too.
Yeah.
At a certain point, though, there are certain things memes just can't say.
True. Well, I don't know.
Certain things words can't say.
Yeah. So here's a picture. If a picture's worth 1,000 words, how much is a meme worth? How much is a GIF worth? Because that's a moving picture.
A GIF is worth the number of frames that
Okay.
exist in that GIF. So
roughly like 5,000 words? right? About 5 frames?
I can't remember the last time I wrote
It's gotta be more than
5,000 words.
5.
That's how many pages is 5,000 words? A paragraph is like 250. I remember from school.
Yeah. Like when I write the Orioles magazine articles, those are about 1,000 words, and those are about 2.5 pages long.
2.5 pages of double-spaced material, you're talking? Like on a Word document?
Well, no, a Word document, but I don't double space them. I single space it. So, I'm not in college. So
The good old, by the way, one of the more underrated things about Microsoft Word, the 1.5 spacing. I love that 1.5.
Love it. Well, my girlfriend's just started school again. She's in grad school over here at the University of Maryland. And she's like, first assignment, 2 pages double spaced. It's like, so easy.
That's so easy.
Yeah.
I used to do that
Or
trick.
10 pages, not 2 pages, 10 pages.
Oh, gosh.
But still double spaced. It's like, it's basically 5 pages. It's so easy.
Well, my favorite thing when I was in school was I would write it all in single space, and then I would select all and then make it double space. So I was like, oh man, I'm only a page in. Wait a second. 2 whole pages out of nowhere.
Yeah, it just comes out of just so much space. It's so much space. And then you also, did you add the header?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to ask that. I always put Paul Mancano, U.S. history, the date, and then like the professor at the end. And it was like, and then like 2 more spaces.
And then 2 more spaces, the
then
title. And then 2 more spaces, and then you start.
Yep. And then a
Indented.
big indent.
Yep.
Yeah. The page margins is always a trick that people. I was never too gutsy for that, but people would mess with the page margin.
I did that once.
Did you mess with the periods? Some people
I did
would
that
always
once
go with the
too.
14-point period size.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a little cheap.
It is, but it was. I think I must have been like. I think it was like a junior at Maryland, and I was exhausted. I had like another paper to write, and like. I was like just spelling out contractions and stuff like that, and like nothing could get.
Cannot.
Yeah, cannot, do not, will not. I just could not. I was like, oh gosh, I could not get it to the minimum page requirement. So I was like, all right, I gotta do the periods thing. I can't flesh this out any longer.
Have I told you? I probably told this story in the podcast of a Shakespeare paper that I handed in months late.
No.
I did, and I got a 40 on it.
Yeah.
That was my proudest memory from school. Let me tell you.
That's I don't know. I always school bothers me. School bothers me because like I like learning. Learning is great, but like the assignments and stuff, it's just not how the real world works. Like, yeah, due dates are a thing, but like, you know, if we need to like write a report or something, like those magazine articles I write, 1,000 words is like a rough, like it's not a hard deadline. I didn't need to count 1,000 words. It's just like, you know, make it seem like 1,000. Well, you know, it's like, but like in school, no, it's got to be 10 pages. It's at least 10 to 12. It's got to be between this word count. Like, why? That's never going to be the case when I get out of school.
True. Also, something, you know, people always talk about, oh, well, like I never needed to use a formula after school. That's true. And so when I was in school, I hit like calculus, and I realized I was like, I am just not. I was always good at math up until a certain point, and I hit calculus, and it was like just out of the range of my comprehension. Like I could understand it, I think, if I tried, but I was like, I don't have the time. And I was like, I am just going to bet on the fact that I'm going to need to know this for a year, and then that's it. So I just gave up like learning it, and I was like, I'll know exactly what I need to pass the test, and I did, and I just like gave up learning it because it was like this is so, it's like so incredibly complex,
right?
That once you get to a certain level, like calculus is not ridiculously complex, but it was like, this is just, now that I can't like look at a problem and think it through, I just don't want to do this.
Right.
It was laziness.
Yeah, and also like because like I said, my girlfriend's in grad school right now. But she would always like, you know, grad school is a different animal than like regular high school or like college, because it's just like, you know, she's like, as long there's no, like she had a professor that doesn't really have hard deadlines. You know, there's no word count or page limit or whatever. It's like, as long as you just show that you know the information, you know the topic, you know the subject, you can flesh it out, you can talk about it. That's all, because that's all you're gonna need to know in the real life.
Yeah.
In real life, like, be able to express that you understand what we're talking about, that you learned something, and then you'll get a passing grade.
Oh, I mean, the difference between MLA style and AP style
and
just
Chicago
infuriated me. The fact that there was a difference and that it mattered.
I remember sitting in school being like, who is sitting and making up these styles of writing, and why do they care so
Why
much?
does it matter?
I also like how people like always get so turned up, and this is, you know, we're getting really into the school conversation with schools. No, like get so bothered about how people write, and like there's as long as you're expressing your idea the right information, there's thousands of different ways to express your ideas.
Yeah.
And still be grammatically correct. Like, everyone
true.
gets so, like the Oxford comma, everyone gets so like strung up and butthurt about it. It's like, just present your ideas in a way that you get your idea across and it's understandable for your readers, and then you're done. That's it. Like, why does everyone need to get all tight about it?
And this is coming from a former MASNsports.com editor.
Yeah. I mean, if I understand what you're trying to say, like, that's what I would do. Editing, like Rock Kabaka or Steve Molesky, I could see what they're trying to say. If it didn't really come off the way what they were trying to say, just quick edit right there. That's all you need. But for the most part, they can get as long as they're getting their point across, that's all that matters.
Yeah, and you never rewrote the article.
No, no.
Yeah, because
Especially
you want them
Rock.
to.
Rock doesn't like that.
Yeah, that's a thing of Rock's. I'm sure that is like he wants his words to. Of course, yeah. Like you're a writer, you take pride in how you express it.
Right.
You would never want an editor to go back and change your thought in a way that you know, even if it's the same general thought, you know, it's like you want the words. It's like I put those words in that order for a reason.
Also, Rock is like trained to be a writer. Like you know, he's a journalist at heart. So like he's a phenomenal writer.
Yeah.
So he took very little editing. But yeah, so it's like as long as your point is taken, that's I'm good. Like, we don't need to be so strict on our writing rules.
And that's why we do a podcast, so that we don't have to worry about that.
As opposed to write.
So that we can edit afterwards. Just kidding. No editing in the MASN All Access podcast. None whatsoever.
No. You're live.
Team no edit. Bobby, we got some baseball talk. The Orioles are at this point a couple weeks away from the end of the year. They are a couple losses away from number 100. And some tough news coming down over the past couple weeks. Second wave of layoffs, essentially, within the Orioles organization. They essentially cut 14 more positions yesterday, 25 in total over the past couple weeks. This is nothing that they put out in a press release or anything, but it is, Rock Kabako confirmed it, and it has been reported several areas, is that it's about 25 people. It's tough news, and as Michael I said, it's tough stuff. But, especially because of these are people, Steve Molesky put it, these are a lot of people. In all cases, they're people that did good things for the Orioles. And in some cases, they're people that did good things for the Orioles for a long time.
Right.
So it's tough to absorb the news, but I certainly understand the reasoning for it. Mike Elias has certainly made it clear this is what they're doing. They're bringing in their own people. It's a long process. A rebuild like this doesn't happen overnight, and sometimes it requires some change within the organization.
Yeah, to me, this is just Mike Elias and his people doing their due diligence. You can't overturn a whole organization, like you said, overnight. To me, it feels like, and let's also point out that of these 25 people who are leaving the organization, they're not all firings. There are a handful of people who are just retiring. I think Barack Obama
moving into different roles.
Yeah, Barack Obama goes out of his way to point out Len Johnston, who's been with the Orioles for 43 years, but he's 90 years old. So it's like, it's about time you retire. And then a couple others guys who have been around for a long time, they've just like, you know what, I'm done. Like, I'm just gonna step aside and let the new regime take over and fill the roles as necessary. But back to Elias, I think it's just they spent this summer, or the majority of this summer or this season, kind of doing their own in-house evaluations. Who do we see as part of our long-term plan? Who do we see that we can stick around? Because you can't with players, obviously, when you're doing a full rebuild, you can't just clean house. You can't go down to the Dominican Summer League and just say, all right, you guys are all done. We're bringing a whole new patch, just off with you. Can't do that. Can't do that with players. So why would you also do that with coaches and people and trainers or, front office people, whoever? See who can stick around, see who fits into your mold. And it turns out, these 25 people didn't. And, I think it's not like Michael Elias came in and day one just threw down the axe and said, you guys are done. I'm bringing my own people. He kind of did his own evaluations, had his people do their own evaluations. Let's figure this out. It's a long process. We have time to do this, and we're in no rush because, there may be some people. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I do believe, it's a lot of people who are out of a job right now or no longer with the organization, but people are also staying in some roles. So, there are guys that they saw, hey, these guys know these players well. These guys are on board with what we're trying to accomplish here. They can take the information that we're giving them and translate them to the players. They can coach up well. They can scout well, what have you, whatever they do. It's not a complete upturn. Let's keep the guys that we feel like are part of our organization for the long term, and then kind of clean house and the other guys we don't really see, and then try to get our own guys in here.
Yeah, and one of the names, a couple of the notable names, a lot of the names are unknown to the vast majority of Orioles fans just because they're behind-the-scenes people that you don't often hear about. But a couple of the names, Scott McGregor, who, of course, played for the Orioles, and Ryan Miner, who is the manager at Frederick, which I think was interesting because we went down to Frederick. We interviewed him. Despite the fact that he was one of the people let go, one of the first things that Mike Elias did upon taking over this job was promote from within. He promoted a Buck Britton within the organization.
Yep.
He
look where he is.
Yeah. He promoted several of these guys within the minor leagues. These are not wholesale changes that they're making across the board, like you said, Bobby. And they're not, it's not like he did this in November where, he was like, all right, I don't even want to see what you have. He wanted to see what he had from the entire organization. And this is also not, he made it clear, this is not a move motivated by cost cutting. This is a move that, they might end up hiring more people than were let go.
Right.
So they might end up hiring 30-some people or however many it may be because, it just depends on what jobs they think need to be filled. But they have also said that the roles might change, the titles might change here and there. He's just reshaping the organization. And I do have faith, obviously I can't speak for all, but in baseball, guys look after each other and take care of each other. And a lot of these guys have, I'm sure they've built up great relationships. You see it with the media, the fact that the media knows a lot of these guys personally.
Yeah.
They're great at building relationships, and the fact that, a lot of these guys have strong track records will speak for themselves. And there are 30 organizations out there, and hopefully these guys will be able to find a new home.
Yeah, I think unfortunately, with the territory of letting people go and firings and people losing their jobs, there's a bad stigma around that. It goes more noticed than when people get promoted within. Like, obviously, we made a big deal, not a big deal, but we praised Buck Britton when he got promoted to be the AA manager, and that's great and all. Promoted within. Not to say that these guys didn't do great organizations, but it draws more attention when something like when people lose jobs like this, in a negative way, and that's just the nature of what you're doing, which is unfortunate. But again, I mean, it's not to say that these guys didn't do good things for the Orioles and the organization in the past. It's just, it's a new day. This happens in every business, just not just baseball, not just professional sports, any business across the board. Someone comes in new, they want their own people, it's people that they can vibe with, for lack of a better term. People who are on board with what they're trying to accomplish, who see their vision. Not to say that these guys couldn't do that, but it's just, he did his own evaluations. He made a choice. It's a tough choice, and because it's a rebuilding team, because it's a professional sports team in a baseball loving town, it's kind of highly touted and highly publicized, but. This happens everywhere in any kind of business, and that's just the nature of it. And it is sad, but also, good on Mike Elias and acknowledging points and areas where, okay, we can improve here. This is where I want this guy. This is where I want someone else. We can take this guy, move him here, stuff like that. And, it sucks that people are out of a job, but like you said, baseball is a tight brotherhood, and I'm sure a lot of these guys, if they want, they will land on their feet elsewhere in different organizations. It's a large sport. There's a need for people like these. But kudos to Mike Elias for pulling the trigger and bringing his own guys in, and we'll see how he fills these areas, especially in the lower levels of the minor leagues and
the Dominican League.
The Dominican League, rookie level Gulf Coast League down in Sarasota. We'll see how he fills those areas in terms of scouts and coaches and how they help develop their young talent.
And in terms of players, the Bowie Bay Sox are currently doing quite well under Buck Britton's tutelage. They are, unfortunately, just lost game one of that series, but we have been down to Bowie during this playoff series. We also went to Delmarva, who unfortunately just had a poor offensive game at the worst possible time, and as they lost in game two. An amazing season. Sucks that it's a best of three series. You're not going to get the best. You could have two bad games.
Best of three, that's bizarre, but
it's tough.
Baseball is bizarre. Weird, man. I mean, Delmarva had the best minor league regular season of any minor league team in all of baseball.
Yeah, 90 wins.
And they're out in 2 games. Yeah. And meanwhile, look at where Bowie started to start this season. Now they're in the Eastern League Conference Championship Series.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
So it's just, baseball's a fickle thing.
But good for Bowie. The ridiculous fact is that the Trenton Thunder are throwing out major league players.
Just all the Yankees.
I mean, Severino is starting tonight.
Luis Severino. I think Jordan Montgomery started last night.
Yeah. I think Dylan Betances is
down there too?
Yeah.
What the heck?
Yeah, he's available out of the bullpen.
That is just unreal that's allowed. I mean, I understand that these guys...
It makes sense. I get it.
No, I mean... No,
well, a lot of these guys really are rehabbing.
I know. No, yeah. It makes sense that during the regular season, you can do a minor league rehab game. But, when it comes down to the playoffs, like what happens when the minor league season is over? And the guys need to do rehab. They go down to Florida. They go down to whatever the team spring training facility is and does it there. I get facing live opposing hitters is more beneficial, but, I don't know. I feel like you're just taking away experiences, opportunities from some of these kids in your own organization too. Like, who would have been starting in these playoff games if Severino and Montgomery weren't there, right? Sure. Some of these guys might not ever see the major leagues. This might be we talked to Buck Britton last week in Bowie before they started their semifinal series against Harrisburg, and he was like, this might be the only time some of these players in this clubhouse play for a championship game. So they're treating it special. And now I get the Yankees have higher hopes in terms of winning a World Series as opposed to Eastern League Championship Series, and they're not concerned with it. But for a team, obviously their AA team has had a really good season as well. Why would you? I feel like once it gets to the playoffs, you should not be allowed to have a major league player do a minor league rehab assignment in the postseason. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, go somewhere else. Go to your Florida spring training facility. Go, it's just, I don't think it's fair to the AA players or the minor league players who have been there all season long, who are busting their butts, trying to win a championship on both sides. Again, it's not just, he's not taking away just the Bowie Bay Sox opportunity. You know, there's guys on that Trenton roster who are probably looking like, well, I was supposed to start game 1, and now, you know, I'm not going to be. I can't say that I ever pitched in a postseason game because I might not make it.
Yeah, it does suck. And I think of game 2 that I went down to Delmarva for, and you know, Gray Fenter was the starter for that game. He's 23 years old. I mean, at that point, it's probably unlikely. It's unlikely for most of these guys to make the major leagues, but at that point, you know, this might be the closest thing he comes to a championship.
It's maybe like the pinnacle of their careers.
And he talked about what it meant to him to pitch the game of his life. He had an incredible game on the mound, and it meant a lot to him. And he said, I wasn't going out there for me. I was going out there for my teammates. And, you know, it meant a whole lot more, even though it's not in the big bright lights of a major league ballpark. But I think you make a good point there, Bobby. It's a special opportunity for a lot of these guys.
During the regular season, totally fine. I get that. I think once these minor league teams get into their respective playoff seasons, their major league clubs should not be allowed to send down major leaguers for rehab assignments.
Yeah.
They need to go find somewhere else to do it, because those teams and those players, those coaches have worked too hard to have an opportunity squandered because the major league club needs it to.
Well, let's hope that...
I get the major league club, again, takes precedent. I understand that there's more money in the major league club. Yankees are actually trying to win a World Series here. But, I mean, come on. Let's have some dignity here for these players.
Let's hope that the Bowie Bay Sox can overcome it. That would make the victory all the much more sweeter.
You know what? And we talked to Steve Molesky, too, and, you know, because he was there covering that game 1 in Bowie, and he mentioned back when the Bay Sox won it in 2015, like that team was determined to win, because I feel like... I want to get this right. They fell behind in that series and then came back and won 3 in a row to win that championship series that year. And that team would not go away. And so, yeah, you're right. It could make it that much sweeter if they say, yeah, we went out and beat Luis Severino and Dylan Betances in a game to tie it 1-1 and then came back to Bowie and won it in 5 or won it in 4. That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
But, I mean, obviously, having major leaguers start the game tilts the favor towards Trenton.
Yeah. And they play the first 2 games on the road in Trenton, and then they come back home for 3, 4 if necessary, 5 if necessary. So they could win in front of their...
If you have the means, get down to Bowie.
Yeah.
40 minutes down the road. They play definitely Thursday night, and if necessary, Friday and Saturday.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if they're playing and you have the means, get down to Bowie and watch the Bay Sox go for a championship. It's a lot of fun down there.
If you have the John Means.
You and Amy Jennings are going tomorrow.
Yep.
You and I might possibly going Friday if necessary. Mm-hmm. Should be fun.
Yep, should be a good time. That John Means pun, we like to make puns around here. I have a series of puns in a game called Would You Watch That Show? First, we're going to hear from the previously mentioned Amy Jennings.
Hey O's fans, thanks for tuning in. If you like what you see here, head over to MASNsports.com for even more Orioles coverage. Rock Kubaka looks at the retirement of Lynn Johnston, and Steve Molesky's covering Bowie's playoff run. So head over to MASNsports.com for all of that and more.
Thank you, Amy. Now we have Would You Watch That Show? Bobby, you have played this game before.
Yes, it's been a while.
It has been a long time. My creative juices kind of went away mid-season. I'm trying to get them back. So I have a series of show examples. I'm going to pitch them to you, all revolving around the Baltimore Orioles. You just let me know whether you would watch that show. Is that fair?
Yeah.
All right.
We played this on the Orioles side before, right?
I think so. We've definitely played on the Nats.
Yeah.
But, I think we have played on the Orioles side as well.
Okay.
But totally new players since then.
Yeah.
All right. Sonny with a Chance. Now, this is the exact same title as a Disney show. This one is going to be on Disney Plus, Bobby. Sonny with a Chance. Now, in that Disney show, Demi Lovato was the star. What can really bring out the best in Demi Lovato for this show? Chance Sisco. When she's got a great battery mate to go along with Chance Sisco. So this is a Disney Plus show. It is mostly for young kids, young adults. But basically, I don't even know the plot of Sonny with a Chance, the actual show. But let's just throw Chance Sisco in there with Demi Lovato. See what happens.
Is Demi Lovato's character named Sonny?
I think so.
Okay.
And so I think it was interesting because I don't know if there's anybody in this room looking at you, Amy Jennings, and Hannah Broder, that saw the show Sonny with a Chance. Nope, nobody has seen it. But I'm guessing that her name was just Sonny, and then they just said, with a chance, because with a chance of meatballs or whatever.
Here she is.
But wouldn't that make the most sense to get 2 puns, Sonny with a chance of Sisco?
Yeah, I got it. I know what you're coming from. No, I get it, Paul.
So would you watch that show, Bobby?
I'm trying to find. The series follows the experiences of teenager Sonny Monroe, portrayed by Demi Lovato, who becomes the newest accepted cast member of her favorite live comedy television show, So Random.
Wow. Yikes.
So,
Random.
yeah.
So let's say
I can't get the image out of my head. I'm picturing like Demi Lovato standing there like cross-eyed like this, and then Chance Cisco like back to back.
How about he's like the director of the show,
shrug.
and Demi Lovato's like she is just
right.
giving him a hard time on the set every day, and he's like, "We gotta film this scene, and then I gotta get back to Camden Yards and catch John Means."
If that's the concept, I'm in, because if Chance Cisco can direct a show, like, he's a catcher, he directs the game.
Exactly. Exactly.
I can get behind that.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
He's got to call a game. He's got to call the shots.
Yeah, he's
all
calling
right.
the shots.
Sonny with a chance. Got the green light.
He's directing the live comedy show, So Random.
We know that Paul Fry, his nickname for Players Weekend was Papa Frita. This show is called Papas Fritas. So it is like
Cooking show?
Cooking show.
Yeah.
It is Papa apostrophe S. So it's like Dad's Fritas, if that makes sense.
Like
But basically,
Chris?
he is. It's a Paul Fry cooking show. All of the dishes that he makes are baseball themed.
All right. Well, we did that Paul Fry French fry taste test segment during Players Weekend, and Paul Fry knew his stuff.
He did know his stuff.
So I'm going to say yes, because of how well he already knows food.
Yep.
And already knows how... I'm guessing he has cooking experience. Maybe he's just a good taste tester. I'm guessing he has cooking experience.
Yeah, I could guess that.
I can get behind this. And if they're all baseball themed, sure. I'm guessing a lot are going to have French fries.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I'm a sucker for cooking shows.
Oh, really?
Talk about how I'm not feeling well. Like I'm sick. My go-to when I was sick as a kid was lying on the couch and watching the Food Network.
Oh, really?
Because you know how when you're sick, you don't have an appetite?
Yeah.
You don't feel, and you need to eat. So I would watch the Food Network so I could get an appetite
hungry,
and then get hungry and eat and then start feeling better.
Yeah, I would just watch CSI. It was just
CSI as a kid?
yeah, my sister got me into it as not as like a young kid.
I was going to say, like...
It did scar me a little bit,
Yeah.
but yeah, my sister wanted to be a forensic scientist at that point, so she was like, let's watch CSI whenever she would babysit me.
Yeah.
I was like, come on.
So Papa's Frita sounds like a show I would watch if I was sick and like 13 years old.
All right, well, we're going to stick with the Players Weekend nicknames.
Okay.
Richie Martin, do you remember what his Players nickname?
Number one. Something rich.
Yeah.
Rich kid?
Rich Boy.
Rich Boy.
That's
Damn.
close. This one is called Rich Boy, Poor Girl. This is, you ever hear that show, Two Broke Girls? It looks just terrible.
Oh, that show is awful.
Have you watched it?
Handful of times. My old roommate and I used to play a game. It's one of those CBS shows with a laugh track and everything. It's so predictable. We would literally sit there late at night because they run like late night reruns on like TBS or whatever. We would sit there late at night and try to guess what they're gonna the punchline's gonna be.
Yeah,
it's like, oh brother, whatever. It was so easy, and that show was god awful.
Yeah.
But this sounds like it has more promise.
It really doesn't. Rich Boy, Poor Girl. Richie Martin stars in a Two Broke Girls-esque sitcom. My guess is he finds love with a young, I don't know.
Hard on her luck girl.
Yeah, but somebody, like, let's just take one of the, I don't even know the two characters. Let's just take one of the Two Broke Girls characters. Let's throw her in there. She's the girl in the show.
Okay.
Rich Boy, Poor Girl. Would you watch that show?
Probably not. Sorry, Rich.
Yep, that's fair. That's fair. I would. I mean, Richie Martin, I could see him being a...
What's the backstory here? How do they meet?
Good romantic
What is
lead.
her, what is she doing here? Like, I need more backstory.
Well, it takes place in Baltimore.
Right.
That's all I got.
Okay. Then probably not.
All right, fair. We'll keep it going. Another staying in the sitcom category. Chip Off the Old Block. Block spelled B-L-A-C-H. Ty Block, the starter from last night's game. He is... it's another sitcom. And this one revolves around the Orioles clubhouse. So he is the grizzled kind of vet. He's been on the Giants. He's been around. He's 28, and he's got to corral this group of crazy youngsters on this team. Chip Off the Old Block.
Okay, I was trying to look up if him and his wife had any kids, but I couldn't figure that out. So it's like, or was it be like a family like sitcom show, or? But I like that idea of him, like he's kind of the old. Bringing the old guy to take care of the young kids, and they're all chipped off the old block.
I don't know if
has
he's
like a
strong
Bull
enough to carry
Durham
a show.
vibe kind of ish with baseball, like bringing the vet to on the
Kevin
minor
Costner.
leagues. Yeah.
I don't know if he's strong enough to be the lead of a sitcom, TBH. This is a big leap for the studio. I don't know if they can make this leap.
I'm going to yellow light that one.
Okay.
Table that for maybe next fall season.
Okay. We'll get a pilot going.
Yeah.
We'll send that
show
across
me a
your
pilot and then we'll see.
We'll send that across your desk.
See
The
if-
craziest thing is the pilots. Have you heard, like, there are shows that, like, they film. They shoot the episode. They film it, they cut it, and then they're like, nah. They just scrap it.
Nah.
What happens to those, the lost episodes?
It's Hollywood, baby.
Oh, man. Boy, when
tough
I make
business.
it big, I'm going to...
Well, what happens also to, like, those actors that are in it and, like, all the producers, and, like, some of them are filmed in front of live audiences.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. They just never speak of it ever again.
Yeah. Just disappears into the ether, like every single Fox show. This one is called Mindhunter, which is exactly like the other one. And I'm guessing you're going to have a guess as to where this one is going, Bob.
Guessing it has to deal with Hunter Harvey.
And it has to deal with Hunter Harvey. It is the dark, gritty exploration, kind of, Netflix style, of what a closer does when he's not pitching. And hint, hint, some closers have some dark past.
Yeah.
They're kind of crazy.
Yeah,
you got to get into the mind of a closer.
I'm in on that. I think the mind of a closer is a fascinating space.
Mm-hmm.
It is one of the toughest jobs in all of sports because you have to be ready in a split second. You are immediately thrust into the most challenging and most stressful part of the game, and all eyes are on you, and the whole team's counting on you. That is a lot to burden. So, I am in on how closers handle that.
He is, I'm imagining Hunter Harvey is like the Jonathan Groff character in this. He is, kind of like the younger cop trying to figure this out. He's like, because he's new to closing. He's new to, well, not exactly closing, but he's new to being a reliever, and he's like trying to figure this out, and he's discovering that it is a dark,
his rules.
deep world. He has a big conversation with Brian Wilson, who exposes everything, just starts naming names, and things get really dark. Things get really dark.
Yeah, I'm in.
All right, Mindhunter.
Like that one.
This one is called Junior to Senior. It's a buddy cop drama starring Dwight Smith Sr. and Dwight Smith Jr., both of whom we've had in this very studio.
100% in. That's the best one yet.
Okay.
I like buddy cops are fun to begin with.
Yeah.
Buddy cop shows are fun to begin with, and add a father-son element to it. All in.
And both
Especially
those guys,
in
those guys are great.
The tough streets of Baltimore. They can get in some antics. For
Some
sure.
antics.
They can get some shenanigans.
Yeah. Junior to Senior.
Yeah.
The way those two were playing off each other back in May, I'll tell you, there was some potential.
That was a fun day.
Yeah.
We look fondly back on that interview.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. Our biggest accomplishment. All right. Finally, last show on Would You Watch That Show? Lefty for Dead.
Oh, boy.
It's like The Walking Dead, and it stars Hanser Alberto, who has to pretend that he's dead in order to survive a zombie apocalypse.
Because he crushes lefties?
Yeah, I don't know. But just imagine Hanser Alberto like all in some zombie makeup, and he's like walking around, and they act like he's normal, and then he turns to the camera and winks. I mean, wouldn't that be great?
Day 3.
He's such a great character.
They still think I'm a zombie.
Then he like falls in love with one of the zombies. It's just like a whole thing.
What's that movie where that girl falls in love with a zombie?
Yeah,
I fell in love with a zombie.
Something like Beating Hearts or something like that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I never saw it. I need a better concept than that. I get what you're going with.
I thought this was a strong candidate. I'm not gonna lie.
Really, that's easily your biggest stretch.
I left the best for last. Lefty for Dead.
Really?
Come on.
The buddy cop between Dwight Smith Jr. and his dad is easily the best.
Well, I think Hanser Alberto has some serious potential as a lead in a series.
That's
all I'm saying.
But the other thing too is though you got to play to your actor, your star. Hanser Alberto is such a fun-loving, always smiling guy. He can't be in a serious.
It's like when Jim Carrey did 23. It's like, can he do it? Oh, he pulled it off, but he didn't really. But
any show involving Hanser Alberto has to involve some comedic element.
It's like Steve Carell, and like they throw him into a.
He's not there yet, Paul. He has his acting career needs to take off, being the comedic actor that he was born to be, and then he can take on some more serious projects down the line.
Okay.
I'm telling you right now, as your executive.
Look, I appreciate the criticism. I appreciate it.
That
being
script.
said, I might just break off from the studio and just fund this project as a passion project myself, because frankly, The world needs to see Hanser Alberto in zombie makeup.
See how it does at the Toronto Film Festival.
Joker is getting apparently great reviews on some film festivals.
I have some thoughts about that. But
yeah, I feel like your voice is dying with a little T.
It's not dying. It's just I don't sound the best. I'm probably pissing people off who are listening.
No, you sound wonderful.
I don't like the way I sound, and I also don't enjoy listening to people who sound sick.
Yeah,
I totally. If you're turned off by my sound today, my voice today, I totally get it. I totally get it because I am too. You're not alone.
Well, it's funny because this is my normal voice, and I'm probably annoying people as well, just with my normal voice.
I don't say that.
Got him! Self-burn. All right, that just about does it for the MASN All Access Podcast. Don't forget you can listen to us on Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Google Play. But you probably already know that because you're listening anyway. You can watch us on YouTube, on the MASN Orioles YouTube page, and you can watch us on the MASN All Access Facebook page as well. He's Bobby Blanco. I'm Paul Mancano. Thank you for listening, watching to the MASN All Access Podcast, brought to you by Marymount University. Visit MarymountSaints.com to learn more about our student athletes and programs today.